We think what we know what trap looks like. We picture a steel case, a net, or a locked door. But the most dangerous traps are the ones we build for ourselves, the ones that don't look like cases at all, until we eventually learn to call them home. In traditional Manipuri culture, there's a specific kind of coarse, heavy cloth bag called Ngabong-Khao. Historically, it served a grim purpose. It was used to bundle up, conceal, and hold away antisocial elements, criminals, and outcasts. It was a literal, physical human trap. The legendary playwright Jishi Tombra, often celebrated as J.B. Shaw of Manipur, took this humble bag and turned it into a terrifying metaphor. To understand Ngabong-Khao, you have to understand the world Jishi Tombra was reacting to. Before him, Manipuri theatre was largely dominated by grand historical epics and religious mythology. Tongbra and his society theatre shattered that mold. He brought the grime, the struggle, and the absurdities of contemporary life onto the stage. He was writing in an era where the post-independence idealism in India was beginning to curdle into stark materialism. We see this immediately in the play through the eyes of characters like Babahan and Iboyama. They serve as the voice of the public, the chorus of the streets. Through their sharp, witty dialogue, Tongbra paints a picture of a world moving too fast. They watch inflation and human greed rise shamelessly like a river overflowing its banks in the rainy season. They aren't heroes fighting the system. They are simply trying to survive a flood they cannot control. They represent our own cynical survival instincts, the way we adapt to a broken world because we lack the power to fix it. But a trap requires a trapper, and a broken system requires an architect. Enter Ake Sanazawi. If the play is a critique of the system, Sanazawi is the system personified. She is wealthy, calculating, and fiercely driven by her own desires. Sanazawi is the apex predator of this concrete jungle. Throughout the play's three acts, she seduces with material temptation. She weaves an unescapable net of favors, debts, and psychological coercion. What makes her character so brilliant and so terrifying is that Tongbra doesn't paint her as a cartoonist monster. She is highly competent. She knows exactly how to manipulate the strings of a society that already worships money. She proves the play's core thesis. Corruption isn't a faceless accident. It is a game, played and won by those willing to discard their morals. And what happens to the artist in a world run by Sanazawis? We get Tomalo. At the beginning of the play, Tomalo is a poor young artist. He is deeply aware of how toxic Sanazawi's world is, and he is desperate to escape it. He represents the intellectual, the idealist, and the part of us that wants to break free from the machinery of capitalism and greed. He tries to flee. He tries to pull himself out of the Ngabong-Khao, but Tongbra's satire is brutally, tragically realistic. Tomalo is highly imaginative, but he is weak-willed. The relentless pressure of survival grinds him down. By the final act, Tomalo doesn't die in a blaze of heroic glory. His fate is much worse. He returns to Sanazawi as an aging broken man. He is essentially reduced to a house pet, keeping her home. His ultimate happiness relies entirely on daydreaming rather than actual freedom. He surrenders to the very system he despises. Ngabong-Khao is categorized as a satire, but its humor is a defense mechanism against its terrifying reality. Jishi Tombra removed the rigid lines between pure heroes and villains, forcing his audience to look in the mirror and ask a devastating question. 50 years later, the river of greed hasn't stopped overflowing. The traps just look different now. They have screens, algorithms, and subscription fees. But the question Tongbra asks remains exactly the same. Are we still fighting the net? Or like Tomalo, have we just given up?